My name isn't important, so you can call me Emma. My husband's name wasn't Eric, but that's what I'll call him. And the place where everything happened wasn't called Saithong Gorge National Park, but let's pretend it was. What matters is the cliff, the fall, and the way he leaned in close and told me to go to hell before he put his hands on me and sent me over the edge.
This is based on true stories retold. Tonight's episode, Go to Hell, Her Confession. A few years ago, when I was 3 months pregnant, my husband took me on a baby moon to a country I'd never been to before. Warm air, cheap flights, beautiful photos all over the internet. He sold it as a celebration. He even kissed my stomach the night before we flew out, his lips lingering there like he was promising something. I remember thinking, this is the father of my child. I'm safe. On the third day of the trip, we went to Saithong Gorge National Park, famous for its cliff viewpoints. The kind of place influencers love. Endless sky, a river like polished steel far below, rock formations like broken teeth jutting from the earth. The drop from the viewpoint was 34 meters, 110 feet. Enough that if you go over, there's almost no coming back. Of course, I didn't think about that then. I was busy worrying about nausea and whether I'd packed enough prenatal vitamins. The sun that afternoon was vicious. Heat pulsed off the rock, soaking into my sandals. The trail smelled like dust and dry plants crushed under dozens of tourist feet. I could hear languages from all over. Laughing, cameras clicking, the faint buzz of insects in the scrub below. Eric walked ahead of me, a little too fast, like he always did. I remember watching his back, the shape of his shoulders, the slight forward hunch of a man always busy, always tired, always one question away from irritation. I'd been pretending not to notice how cold he'd become lately, how his eyes slipped away from me when I talked about the baby, how his hand on my lower back had begun to feel like pressure instead of comfort. When we reached the viewpoint, he turned, eyes bright, smile wide. "Come on," he said. "We have to get a picture here. This is perfect." The edge was just a few steps away. No guardrail, just a small warning sign in a language I couldn't read, and then open air. The ground crumbled slightly if you kicked at it, grains of rock skittering over the side and disappearing into nothing. I felt a little dizzy when I looked down. The gorge yawned beneath us, rock walls streaked with earthy reds and browns, stunted trees clinging to cracks. "Maybe we shouldn't go too close," I said. "I feel off today." He laughed. "Don't be dramatic, Emma. Just a little closer. I'll hold on to you." So I did what I always did. I ignored the tightness in my chest and did as he asked. He stood behind me with his phone, angling for the perfect shot. I could feel the warmth of his body, the shadow of his head over my shoulder. The wind carried up from the gorge, hot and dry, tugging at my hair. I remember the exact second the air changed. One moment, his hand was light on my shoulder. The next, his fingers dug in, hard enough to bruise. There was a pause, less than a heartbeat, where something in my brain screamed that this was wrong. Then, he leaned in, so close his lips nearly brushed my ear. "Go to hell," he whispered. And he shoved me. Not a stumble, not an accident. A full-bodied, deliberate push between my shoulder blades. The ground vanished under my feet. my arms pinwheeled uselessly in empty air. There was no time to scream. The sky and earth spun, trading places, blurring into a smear of blinding light and red stone. For a split second, I saw his face above me. Not horrified, not shocked. Calm, almost relieved. Then, I went over. The air tore past me, punching the breath from my lungs before I even hit anything. The roar in my ears drowned out everything. Tourists, wind, my own thoughts. Time stretched, warped. Long enough for one clear animal thought to surface. My baby. My baby. My baby. I hit a rock outcropping first. Left side. It felt like my bones turned to glass and someone slammed them with a hammer. A burst of white-hot pain, so bright it smothered the world. I bounced, spun, my leg slamming into something that made it bend the wrong way. I remember seeing my own foot at an impossible angle, a twisted shape that didn't look like it belonged to me. Then I crashed onto a narrow ledge, my body folding in on itself. There was a series of internal cracks that I both heard and felt. For a few seconds, there was nothing. Just blackness and the hot metallic taste of blood in my mouth. When consciousness crawled back, it came in pieces. Pain. Heavy, suffocating, everywhere at once. My pelvis was a screaming cage. My ribs felt splintered, grating with each shallow breath. I tried to move my left leg, and a blinding bolt of agony shot up my spine, turning the world white again. Something warm and thick was spreading under me. I could feel it soaking through my clothes, sticky and slick against the rock. Blood. My blood. Maybe my baby's blood, too. I didn't know. I didn't want to know. I tried to curl my body around my stomach to protect the tiny life inside me, but nothing obeyed. My limbs were limp, like severed strings on a puppet. Above, the lip of the cliff was a distant line. Shadows moved at the top. People, maybe. Dots against the blazing sky. I couldn't see Eric clearly. I didn't know if he'd run or if he was up there pretending to be the devastated husband whose wife had slipped. I tried to call out, but what came out of my mouth was more a wet, gurgling noise than a word. The heat pressed down on me like a hand. The rock burned my skin. Flies landed on my blood, tiny feet tickling, already tasting. I lay there, half splayed on that ledge, one wrong roll away from going all the way down and becoming just another body at the bottom. I remember thinking, he did it. He finally did it. The man I share a bed with would rather see me broken on the rocks than see me alive with his child. They tell me the rescue took hours. I drifted in and out, faces above me, harnesses, ropes, the sharp sting of something injected into my arm, the whir of helicopter blades, fluorescent lights replacing the sun, surgeries blurred together, tubes in my arms, a collar around my neck, my body a map of stitches and bruises. I woke properly in a white room that smelled like disinfectant and stale air. And there he was, sitting beside my bed. Eric. If I hadn't felt his hands on my back, if I didn't have the memory of his breath on my ears saying, "Go to hell," I might have believed the performance he put on. His eyes were red, his voice hoarse. "Emma, thank God. They said you might not wake up." He took my hand,
careful to avoid the IV line, and pressed it to his cheek like a devoted husband in a drama. I tried to speak. My throat felt raw, like I'd swallowed sand and knives. A few fragments made it out. "Baby? What?" His face shifted. For a second, I saw it, the cold thing under the mask. Then it was gone. "They couldn't save it," he said. "I'm so sorry. You slipped, Emma. You went too close to the edge and you slipped. You don't remember. The doctor said memory can be confused after trauma." He leaned in closer so the nurse couldn't hear. His fingers tightened painfully around mine, pinching nerves, reminding me how strong he really was. "If you tell anyone anything different," he whispered, "I will finish what I started. Do you understand? When no one's watching. Maybe when we go home. Maybe tonight. I'll make sure you don't walk away this time. And I'll tell your parents you couldn't live with the guilt." My heart slammed against my damaged ribs. My breath went thin and fast, each inhale a spike of pain. He smiled as he finished the sentence, like he'd just told me he loved me. Then he sat back and stroked my hair gently as a nurse came in, saying in a louder voice, "She's still very confused. She doesn't remember what happened." The first time the police came, he was there. A local officer and a translator stood at the foot of my bed. The officer's expression was kindly but distant, professional. The translator's eyes kept flicking from me to Eric. "We just need to confirm," the translator said. "You were walking near the edge. You slipped. Your husband tried to save you, but he couldn't reach you in time. Is that correct?" Eric's thumb was stroking the back of my hand in slow, calming circles that only I knew were a warning. I met his eyes. They were calm, empty. My mouth formed the lie. "Yes." The words scraped my throat raw. "Yes, I slipped." My chest felt like it would cave in. The officer nodded, scribbled something in his notebook, and thanked us for our time. As soon as they left, Eric leaned in again, his smile razor thin. "Good girl," he murmured. "Just keep saying that. Remember, without me, you're all alone in a foreign country. You can't even walk. Who's going to take care of you?" He stayed at my bedside every day. To the staff, he was the devoted husband. He fed me spoonfuls of bland soup, wiped my forehead with a damp cloth, adjusted my blankets. At night, when the lights dimmed, he bent close to my ear and reminded me of what would happen if I ever changed my story. "You're already half broken," he'd say. "One little push down the hospital stairs, and this time, nobody will get to you in time." I couldn't even sit up on my own. My pelvis was fractured, my leg pinned with metal. My back screamed if I shifted wrong. I was trapped in that bed, caged in my own body, with the person who would put me over that cliff as my keeper. I had no phone. He had safely stored it. I was in a country where I didn't speak the language, with tubes in my veins, and a man smoothing my hair and asking the nurses for more pillows, who had already shown me what he was capable of. And my baby was gone. The thought of that tiny life snuffed out inside me made every breath feel like betrayal. I started to think maybe I should have never left that rock. So I stayed quiet. For days. Maybe weeks. Time didn't feel real. The first crack came from something small. A nurse. A quiet one with tired eyes who changed my sheets without talking much. One night, Eric went downstairs to buy food. He didn't like hospital meals, and he never trusted anyone else to pick for him. Control freak to the end. The nurse stood by my bed, tucking in the corners of the sheet, and she paused. She'd seen Eric snapping at me earlier. His mask had slipped when he thought no one was watching, his fingers digging into my arm a little too hard. She lowered her voice. "Do you feel safe with your husband?" she asked, in broken Mandarin, heavily accented, but clear enough. My whole body went rigid. My first instinct was to say yes, always yes. My lips parted. "Yes," I started, then stopped. My heart stampeded, pounding in my ears. I glanced at the door, half expecting him to materialize there with that practiced, worried face. The nurse's eyes softened. She hesitated, then pulled a small pad and pen from her pocket and placed them by my hand. "If you need help," she said, "you can write. I'll not tell him. Only police." She slipped out of the room, leaving the pen like a live grenade on my bedside tray. My hand shook as I reached for it. My fingers were stiff and clumsy, the IV tape pulling at my skin, but I closed them around the pen anyway. For a long time, I just stared at the blank page. Writing the words would make them real. Saying, "He pushed me," out loud in my head was one thing. Putting it down where someone else would see it felt like stepping off another cliff. But that image wouldn't leave me. Eric's face as I fell. Not afraid. Not even surprised. Just done with me. I started to write. Block letters, shaky and uneven. "He pushed me." I hesitated, then added, "He said, 'Go to hell,' and pushed me." By the time he came back with his plastic bags of food, the notepad was gone. The nurse had slipped in and out like a ghost. His eyes swept the room, habitual suspicion flickering for a moment, but he saw nothing out of place. He smiled, sat down, and began unpacking containers as if nothing had ever happened on that cliff. The police came back the next day. This time, Eric wasn't in the room. A nurse had told him the doctor wanted to see him about some insurance paperwork downstairs. He'd gone without thinking twice. Money and paperwork were the only things that could pull him away from guarding me. 2 officers entered. Same translator, but his face looked different now. More serious, more intent. Behind them stood the quiet nurse from before. The translator closed the door gently. "Miss Emma," he said, "we just have a few more questions. This time, alone." My throat went dry. Fear pushed up into my ribs, crowding out air. They moved closer to my bed. The older officer carefully placed something in my hand. The notepad. "Did you write this?" the translator asked. My fingers curled around the paper. My heart pounded so hard, the monitor beside me spiked and beeped in protest. I could have backed out, said no, blamed the drugs, the trauma, said I was confused. But I remembered Eric's words at the edge. "Go to hell." And the way my baby had left my body on that rock while he calculated insurance payouts in his head. "Yes," I whispered. The officers exchanged a look. The translator pulled his chair closer. "Can you tell us what really happened?" So I did.
I told them about the way he'd studied the park trails days before, how he'd insisted on that particular viewpoint, how he'd pushed me closer and closer to the edge with that fake cheerful voice. I repeated his words, "Go to hell," spitting them out like poison. I told them about the threats in the hospital, the way he slept in a chair beside me like a guard dog, how he controlled when I spoke and to whom, the promises of finishing the job if I ever dared to say otherwise. By the time I finished, my whole body was shaking. I could feel sweat gathering under my bandages. The officer's face had gone hard, the kind of hardness that comes from seeing this sort of thing too many times. The translator nodded slowly. "Thank you," he said. "We will look more deeply." He stood, gave some instructions to the nurse in their language, and they left. 10 minutes later, I heard shouting down the hall. Eric's voice, angry, disbelieving. The sharp bark of an order from another man. Bootsteps, a brief struggle, then silence. The nurse came back in, her expression carefully neutral, but her eyes gave her away. "They are taking him," she said. "He cannot come back to this room. You are safe now." Safe. The word felt foreign in my mouth. I broke then. Really broke. Not the quiet, stifled crying I'd been doing alone at night, but full-body sobbing that made my ribs burn and my stitches pull. The monitor alarms screamed. Nurses rushed in. Somebody injected something into my IV that turned the edges of the world soft and far away. But even as the drugs dragged me down, I clung to one thing. I had told the truth. The investigation dug up everything. His search history on his laptop. How high a fall to die? Can a pregnant woman survive a fall from 30 meters? Accidental death insurance payout abroad. The life insurance policies he'd quietly taken out on me months before the trip, right after he found out I was pregnant. Multiple, overlapping, all with hefty accidental death clauses. Messages to a friend complaining about financial pressure, about how a baby would ruin everything, about how some people are worth more gone than around. I saw it all later, laid out like evidence in a horror film where the monster isn't a ghost, but the person you share your toothbrush with. In court, he denied everything. Said I was delusional, traumatized, that the police had twisted his words, that the insurance was normal financial planning. I wheeled myself up to the stand on metal pins and fused bone. And I looked him in the eye as I told the jury how he'd leaned in and told me to go to hell before he pushed me off a cliff. I described the feel of his hands on my back, the fall, the snap of my bones when I hit, the emptiness in my womb where my baby should have been. The room was silent when I finished. Even the judge looked shaken. They convicted him, gave him a long sentence, decades. Long enough that his hair will be gray when he gets out, if he ever does. People tell me I'm lucky. Lucky to have survived a 34-meter fall. Lucky to have landed on that narrow ledge instead of the rocks below. Lucky that the nurse noticed. Lucky that the notepad made it into the right hands. Lucky. I wake up most nights convinced I'm still falling. I can still feel the air ripping past my skin, the weightlessness before impact. I can still hear his voice in my ear, "Go to hell," like a curse that lodged itself in my spine. My pelvis will never be the same. My leg aches when the weather turns. The doctors say carrying another child would be dangerous, maybe impossible. The baby I lost on that rock feels less like a pregnancy,
and more like a ghost that follows me from room to room. But I did one thing he didn't plan for. I lived, and I talked. He counted on my silence more than he counted on gravity. In the end, that's how I beat him. Not by being impossibly strong or fearless, but by letting the truth out in ugly, shaking words on a stolen notepad. If you want to know what it's like to be pushed off a cliff by the person you love most, it's this. The real fall doesn't end when your body hits the ground. It ends the day you finally stop lying for him. This has been Based on True Stories Retold. If you like more stories where real events get retold from the inside, you can subscribe to this show. Leave us a like or share it to someone who sleeps with one ear open. Thanks for listening. Good night.